Hello, it is 12 noon in Sana'a in Yemen, 10 a.m. in Lisbon. I'm Monita Rajpal. You're watching World One, live from London. We'll have more on our top story in the E.coli outbreak in Europe. But first, Portugal has voted for a big change in direction. The Social Democrat Party, politically to the right of centre, ousted the governing socialists in nationwide elections on Sunday. Party leader Pedro Passos Coelho, a man with as much experience in business as in parliament, is set to become the next prime minister. We want to go to CNN's Nina dos Santos, who joins us now from the Portuguese capital, Lisbon. And Nina, when this just before the elections happened, Mr. Coelho himself had criticised Socrates' I guess he called it the plan that he had, his austerity plan, I should call it, and he's saying that the government did not do enough for the country's economy. What does he plan to do?
That's right, Monita. Well, let's remind our viewers how we actually got to all of this. These snap elections that the Portuguese were voting on yesterday were actually triggered by the incumbent Jun06.
Well, we should know in the next few hours if the source of Europe's deadly E. coli outbreak is a sprout farm in northern Germany. 22 people have died and more than 2,200 have been infected in at least 12 countries. German officials haven't yet found traces of the E. coli bacteria at the farm, but they have recalled food grown there as a precaution and shut down production. For more, let's go to CNN's Fred Pleitgen, who's at the suspected source of the outbreak in Lower Saxony. Fred.
I'm Monita, and as you said, the German officials here are expecting lab results sometime today, possibly in the next couple of hours. And they say they wouldn't be surprised if they actually don't find any traces of E. coli in any of the foods that they actually conduct lab tests on here from this agricultural company.
Fred, thank you for that. CNN's Fred Pleitgen there in Lower Saxony in Germany. Now, this wouldn't be the first time that salad sprouts have been the cause of foodborne illnesses. Between 1973 and 2005, 37 outbreaks were traced to sprouts, including bean, radish, and alfalfa sprouts. The government of Yemen says the president will be returning to the country and continuing in office as soon as he's recovered from surgery in Saudi Arabia. Saudi TV is reporting Ali Abdullah Saleh has had 2 operations. He left for treatment after being wounded in an attack on the presidential palace on Friday. There was jubilation on the streets over the weekend as news emerged that the president had left the country. Well, CNN's Mohammed Jamjoon has been following events in Yemen. He joins us now from CNN Abu Dhabi. So there are now reports, Mohammed, that President Saleh might be returning back to Yemen at this point. We don't have independent confirmation of that, but that certainly, that jubilation that we're seeing there on the streets of Sana'a and other parts of Yemen certainly won't continue if that's likely the case.
Well, that's right, Monita. We've already gotten reports from eyewitnesses and residents in Sana'a and other parts of the country where there had been such jubilation in the streets.
Some disturbing reports of brutality are coming out of Libya, with accusations that anti-Gaddafi forces are responsible for inhumane treatment of prisoners. The group Human Rights Watch says rebels are detaining dozens of civilians suspected of loyalty to Muammar Gaddafi and holding them without trial. They say at least one person has died in custody and that there were signs of torture. We go live now to Libya, where we're joined by CNN's senior international correspondent Dan Rivers, who joins us now from Tripoli. Dan, let's talk first about these accusations against the rebels and these human rights accusations against these the rebels. Tell us more about what we know from the ground.
Yeah, I mean, well, Human Rights Watch is a very well-respected New York-based NGO that's been looking into this. As you say, they say they've uncovered evidence of alleged pro-Gaddafi.
Right, Dan, thank you for that. Dan Rivers, they're reporting to us from Tripoli. This is World One, live from London. You are watching World One. Here are some of the stories we're talking about. Dominique Strauss-Kahn, the former managing director of the International Monetary Fund, is due back in a New York court today. He's expected to plead not guilty to the 7 charges against him. He's accused of trying to rape a hotel maid last month. Strauss-Kahn had been seen as a front runner for the French presidency in next year's election. It's a spectacular sight, but no doubt a scary one too. These pictures were taken in southern Chile, where a volcanic eruption has forced 3,500 people from their homes. Chile is part of the so-called Ring of Fire, a circle of volcanoes and fault lines around the Pacific Basin. Well, from volcanoes to vampires, and another highlight from Team Twilight, the blood-sucking saga triumphed in 5 of the 11 categories of the MTV Movie Awards on Sunday. Best male and female performances, best fight scene, best on-screen kiss, and best movie. Well, it was another chapter in one of the greatest rivalries there's ever been in men's tennis, and it was one with a familiar ending. I guess you could put money on either one of this one, but I guess it had to be Rafael Nadal, the king of the clay.
Absolutely right. Thanks very much, Monita. Rafa Nadal won his 6th Roland Garros title in Paris on Sunday. An amazing achievement for the 25-year-old Spaniard.
The quote, I think, showing off only motivates your opponents.
Well, it did in game 2, for sure.
Yeah, all right, Don. Thank you very much for that. We want to get more now on our top story, the spread of Europe's deadly E. coli bacteria. Health authorities in Germany are now waiting for test results on a variety of sprouts, which are now believed to be at the center of the outbreak. Officials had originally thought Spanish cucumbers were to blame, which caused untold damage to the industry there. Well, for reaction out of Spain, we want to go to our Madrid bureau chief, Al Goodman. Al, what are, I guess, the Spanish vegetable and the farmers saying at this point now when we think, again, we think, there's no confirmation yet, that it was this a farm in Lower Saxony that may be the source of this outbreak?
Hi, Monita. Well, I was with the farmers in the south of Spain on Friday, and they are livid. And by that time, a few days ago...
Turn now to an unfolding disaster in the United States. Arizona's 3rd largest wildfire has forced the evacuation of thousands, and weather conditions may continue to spread it. Meteorologist Ivan Cabrera is tracking developments, and he joins us now from the World Weather Center. Ivan.
Yeah, it's a big one, the 3rd largest, as you mentioned there. It's continuing to devour eastern Arizona. Here, the Apache National Forest there being decimated. We're talking about 580,000 square kilometers.
Ivan, thank you very much for that. A deadly confrontation on Israel's fortified border between Syria and the occupied Golan Heights has reportedly killed 25 people and wounded hundreds more. That's according to Syrian authorities. Israeli troops had fired on protesters there as they marked the anniversary of the 1967 war there in the Middle East. We want to get more reaction now on the story from CNN's Jerusalem bureau chief, Kevin Flower. And Kevin, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has said that the long-held ceasefire is now in jeopardy there.
Well, absolutely, Monita. This is a border, or a border line, or a demarcation line, this area between the Golan Heights and Syria.
We want to return now to the E. coli outbreak in Europe that had been spreading over the last week or so. We want to talk more about how it's making headlines around the world and not just in Europe. Here's what they're saying. We'll start with the Herald in Scotland, which says health scares should give the West food for thought. It goes on to say, of course, it's important to identify the cause of this outbreak, but since E. coli can be avoided by very simple precautions by consumers themselves, racing to introduce sterner regulation would be a clumsy and damaging response. Britain's The Guardian, the reason why this deadly E. coli makes doctors shudder. It says this aberrant strain is resistant to multiple classes of antibiotics. Among all the urgent issues raised by this outbreak, drug resistance should ring the loudest warning bells. And we also have a report from the Moscow Times, and the headline here, food ban threatens to spoil EU talks. It says Moscow's decision to ban all European vegetable imports because of a deadly E. coli outbreak is now threatening to derail relations with Brussels just days before a summit with EU leaders. One issue, many views. You can read all those articles in full at facebook.com/W1CNN. Former International Monetary Fund Managing Director Dominique Strauss-Kahn will be back in a New York courtroom today. He is expected to plead not guilty to 7 charges, including the attempted rape of a hotel chambermaid. Welcome back. You're watching World One live from London. We are coming up almost at 6 a.m. in New York, noon in Berlin, 7 p.m. in Tokyo. Our top stories now, and especially let's take a look at what's trending on social media. At number 3, the MTV Movie Awards. Actress Reese Witherspoon getting a lot of attention on social media this morning for her acceptance speech at last night's ceremony. After winning the coveted Generation Award, she said, "It is possible to make it in Hollywood without doing a reality show." Witherspoon went on to say she's trying to make it cool to be a good girl. At number 2, Nintendo hacked. The Japanese games maker is the latest company to say it has suffered a security breach online. Nintendo says one of its servers was attacked, but they say no consumer data or company information has been lost. A spate of hack attacks has people worried, and not surprisingly, it's a big talking point online. And at number 1, Steve Jobs and the iCloud. Apple's boss is expected to unveil the company's newest technology today at its annual developers conference. Right now, both the iCloud and Jobs himself are the top trends online. Steve Jobs has been on medical leave since January, and this is only his second public appearance so far this year. So Steve Jobs and iCloud are the top trends on social media and the number 1 trend in computer industry buzz. Christy Lustout joins us now live from Hong Kong to explain what they're hoping is the next big thing in computing. But I guess first of all, explain what is the iCloud, Christy?
That's right. We have to step back first and ask the question, what is cloud computing? I mean, it sounds like the stuff of sci-fi, but the concept is very simple. Cloud computing is basically outsourcing your processing power.
With all these things in mind, Christy, and you're our network, you're CNN's, technology goddess. I'm on the other end of that spectrum because I'm pretty inept when it comes to new technology. Is this shift inevitable, though?
Well, it seems inevitable if you ask Google. Next week, we'll be seeing the launch of a number of laptops running the Google Chrome operating system.
Wow. Well, hopefully I'll be ready at some point, but even you made me understand, so that's a good job there. Christy Lustout, thank you so much. Do join Christy Lustout there on Newsstream here on CNN. Now, just before we go, we want to bring you up to date on our top stories here on World One. We should know shortly if the source of Europe's deadly E. coli outbreak is a farm in northern Germany that produces salad sprouts. Stay with CNN as we continue to follow these developing stories throughout the day. For now, that's it from me and the team here on World One. Thank you for watching CNN.